these misconceptions might be holding you back from living in the light of a Renaissance man. The Renaissance man, as we know, is the generalist, the one who stays broad in a specific society, that focuses on niching down really hard and becoming a specialist in a very slim field. And if we are to become Renaissance men, then we need to address these misconceptions that hold us back in the fourth element of becoming a Renaissance man, and that is the field of artistic expression. And we've so far tackled mind, strength, and a social life as the three, probably arguably the largest parts of becoming a Renaissance man. But now we have the fourth aspect, which is artistic expression. And for many of us, for most of us probably, that's something extremely intimidating. And we think, no, I could never do that. I could never even pick up a pen. I could never paint anything. I could never do any of that sort of thing. And it's probably a false idea because there's so many misconceptions that we're going to discuss here that hold you back from that. And I want to convince you that there is intrinsic value in expressing yourself artistically in a broad manner of ways, but also to tackle some of the misconceptions that maybe stop you from doing that. Because everything you believe about the limitations you have as a person in getting into art is false, and I know that through my own personal experience. So first, why should we even bother on the artistic side? Well, first, all you have to do is look back in history at the men themselves who were clearly on the right lines, and they integrated art and cultural expression in their life, and clearly there was some link there with their greatness. It helped their character grow in some sense, and even if it's hard to describe how, you don't need to be a genius to see that, and to see that, well, all the great men are united in the way that they integrated some sort of creativity, some sort of creative output. They wrote, they painted, they played instruments, and we can just see that and think, well, they have that in common, so we should probably strive to do that. For example, Theodore Roosevelt is an excellent example because while he was running the country as president of the United States and being a cowboy in the West, he was a prolific writer. He wrote extensively. We have Harold Hardrada, for example, who was a king, and he made all these sorts of adventures and conquests over Europe, all while playing the lute and becoming proficient in many aspects of literacy, and sort of shaped the culture around him as he did that. We have Galileo, who played the lute, or doing his scientific investigations and research. And all these people did these things alongside the stuff we would traditionally consider to be the main focus. And yet they had time and the ability to express themselves in art. But then if you want a more solid reason as to why we should, we can also look back to prehistory. Ever since the beginning, we were painting, we were expressing ourselves artistically. We have cave paintings from God knows how many years ago, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, I'm not sure, but since the beginning of humanity as we know it, we've been expressing our consciousness in art form. So clearly we can infer from that there is value to be found. There is the ability to create so that we may reflect and look back into our souls and investigate our humanity itself and learn more about us. And now we should address some of the misconceptions that hold you back from doing that, from creating rather than consuming, because we live in a consumer society. We're constantly consuming new information and buying new things, and usually it's drivel. It's stuff we don't need. But if you can be a creator of art in a world of consuming, then you have a skill that not many people do, and a skill that only matures with time, only gets more valuable, and makes you such a valuable person to be around, to add to the world in some sense, and to fulfill your own soul in a way by creating. And you'll feel that once you start. But what's holding you back? Well, there's several, again, misconceptions that hold you back. And these are all very sort of, I don't use the word lightly, but they're toxic to the soul, because they keep you from expressing your full potential, and they might even stop you from doing something you'll regret not have started. They might prevent you from starting something that you'll later start in 10 years and then think, oh, damn it, why didn't I start it 10 years ago? And you don't want to be in that situation. So the first thing to think about is that you need some sort of talent. And I mean talent in the sense that it's natural. Some people may have a natural talent, but the people who are good at drawing, writing, painting, all sorts of art, are not talented, they're skilled because they sat down and learned it. They did it, they took action, and they made a bunch of mistakes. They got really frustrated in the process, lost money, lost time, thought they were giving up at points, but they continued, and they never stopped learning, and they never stopped trying, and they never gave up, and then they became who they are today. And of course, we see that final end result usually, not the hardships they went through. But the idea that you need to be born with it is just wrong, because everyone can do that, as long as enough practice and effort goes into that. So yes, maybe you don't have the discipline and willpower for it, and that's another question, but the point is you can't lie to yourself and say, well, I don't have the natural talent for it, because, or you do. You have the ability to learn those skills. You have the talent of learning, in a way. And some may learn better than others. Some may be naturally more good at expressing creativity than others, but we all have that in us. And that's the point, it needs nurturing. Another misconception might be that painting sort of, you don't have the time or energy for it. Maybe it's a sort of upper class thing that the people who live on estates do when they have nothing better to do. They buy an expensive canvas and paints, and we don't have that sort of time or money. Well, in a sense, that's true. Maybe you don't have the time or money for buying an expensive studio with your paintings hanging on the walls, or a big block of marble to sculpt with, but you don't need that. And as with any sort of hobby or pursuit in life, it costs money. But in terms of art or any artistic medium, you don't need money to start at all. If you want to write, which is in itself a massive area of the arts and something that I argue everyone should be doing to some degree, you need pencil and paper. That's nothing. You need 10 minutes a day even. You need just a small investment of the bare minimum of time and money, really, if anything. And if you can just set that aside and have the will to improve that skill and express yourself and create something original and exciting and satisfying to yourself and perhaps others, well, then it's worth it. And even if you have to spend some money to get some equipment that you might want, that can wait for later. That can wait when you have the passion to continue your artistic expression. And the barrier to entry is so low that you can do it. And to use that I don't have time and money as an excuse is exactly that. It's just an excuse. Because we can. There are ways to make time. There are ways to save little pockets of the spare moments in the day that you can do that sort of thing. And there's always opportunities if you look for them. The point is to just not lie to yourself and say, well, I'm not doing that, don't have time, don't have money, because we all do, and you don't need money. That's the point. So the question is, if this sounds interesting to you at all, then where do you start? Where's the natural starting point? That's the hardest part, is to just begin. And the solution to that, conveniently, is just begin. Just begin. Start something now, after this video. Sit down, Get some paper, get a pencil, pen, whatever, who cares, doesn't matter, and just start doing something. If you feel like you need sort of more guidance, then there's plenty of videos on writing, poetry, sketching, and those are all easy to enter. I would recommend writing personally, because whereas with sketching you might feel like you need some knowledge of techniques, which you don't to start with, but if you feel like you don't know that, well, anyone can write. And it doesn't have to be for people, it's just for yourself. Anyone can get a piece of paper and think, well, what am I going to write about? Well, it doesn't matter, something. I'll write about my life, my day, my goals, my past. I'll make up a short story, who knows? I'll write about, or I'll describe an object in front of me. I'll journal, essentially journaling. And that's a good place to start with creativity, because once you start writing, you almost unload your thoughts and manifest them in reality on paper, and it becomes arranged. And anyone can do that, because everyone has thoughts. Everyone, well, I say everyone, but hopefully you have an internal monologue and you have some sort of character that can be expressed on paper. And you don't need any skills for that. You just need yourself and your mind. You need to write what you think, write what problems you have, write where you would like to be, all these things about your life laid out, and anyone can do that. So my advice for you is to just pick a piece of paper up, find somewhere quiet for 10 minutes a day even, just to begin with, and write. Maybe you prefer sketching, and it's good to explore these different mediums of art, because obviously you might not like every single one, but there probably will be something for you. And if you can probe out into the unknown and explore these different mediums, then surely there's something for you at the end. And maybe when you begin to zone in on that, you can focus more heavily on it and begin to make it a habit. And once you have that, then, well, time is all you need to get somewhere really good, to get somewhere where people might start buying your creative products, the things you made with your skills, your experience, your knowledge. And that's fulfilling in one dimension, but then you have doing it for yourself and feeling the satisfaction of saying, well, I have created this, I've made this, I have this book here that my children might be able to read in the future of these writings I made. And that's immensely just special and deeply fulfilling in a way. And I know that because I have stuff I've written from years ago that I forgot about completely, and then you open it up and it's just, well, wow, I was dumb, first of all. What was I writing? And then second of all, it's special because it's like a look into the past. It's a look into the character of the person who wrote it, which may be you 2 years ago, for example. And something about that is just deeply fulfilling, especially with the image that people read it in the future. Loved ones, or even people who buy it because they just want to see what you're making. So in a world of consumers, you can be a creator. And I hope that if you like this sort of mini-series, A Renaissance Man, then you stick around for more, maybe subscribe as well, and see what value I can provide to you. And I hope that call to action just starting sticks with you, and you can go out and just begin and let your consciousness flow and see where it takes you. Thank you.